Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jamie Blakely, and I work in our marketing department, and I'm joined today with some of JB Hunt's brightest ladies. Would y'all like to introduce yourselves?
My name is Kira Brott. I'm the Customer Experience Manager for Regional Accounts.
I'm Jennifer Nix, and I am a Senior Manager of Customer Success.
Hi, I'm Javannah Hinton. I am a Product Owner for Shipper 360.
Awesome, thank you guys. And we would like to encourage everyone to join in on the conversation and weigh in on the topics in the chat. With everything going on this year, it's felt really hard to connect with our coworkers and friends, so we just wanted to take some time to connect with these ladies and learn about what they've been up to this year, the holidays, and their thoughts on personal growth during this hard time. So let's get started. One of my favorite things the ERGs have been doing in the past couple years is book clubs. I just finished one with Javannah, White Fragility, and I learned so much from you and the other people in there. Are there any books that y'all have read in the past year or so that have left a lasting impact on y'all?
So one of my very favorite books is The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown. I read it about 6 years ago, and it absolutely changed my life. I actually reread it with a mentee this year, and it just kind of came alive again in a lot of different ways as I've matured and grown in my own personal and professional growth journey. And another book that I read this year that I absolutely loved is Untamed by Glennon Doyle. It's really about shaking off society's expectations of yourself and really listening to yourself on the inside.
Awesome. I love Brené Brown. She's amazing, but I'll have to check out the Untamed one.
Yes, so good.
So my book recommendations are really based on fiction. So I love reading fiction books, and this is probably one of those heartbreaking books, but Room by Emma Donoghue. So it really kind of opened my eyes about people's past, remembering that and being a lot more intentional about how I react because I don't know where somebody has come from. But also it makes me appreciate a lot more of the smaller things and kind of see things in a different light of how important they are. So I thought that was just a really important book, absolutely heartbreaking, and prepare to cry your eyes out definitely while reading it, but so important and has definitely helped me through quarantine especially.
I've seen the movie, but I've never read the book, so maybe I should read the book.
Yes, so the movie was a great representation of the book, but the book also, so many feels.
When we've been home, have had a lot of time. I should be reading more, but I've been doing more binge watching TV or listening to a lot of podcasts. Do you guys have any recommendations on those for people during this time?
I just finished The Queen's Gambit on Netflix, and it was awesome. It's a limited series, but it's very intense. This is showing my nerdy side because it's about a chess prodigy, but I highly recommend it. And The Crown just dropped yesterday, so I've got a whole new thing to binge.
What about y'all?
Comfort show, still Grey's Anatomy. I've probably watched it 3 times now, but I can't get enough of it.
Did you watch Thursday?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, spoiler alert if you have not watched, but at the end, my heart skipped a beat when McDreamy was in that dreamscape. I said, oh, thank you.
Mayor Dare is back.
Yes, Derek.
He came back?
In the dreamscape. I know it's not real, but to me it was real. Like, I was like, I'm walking in the sand with him, just, hey, Derek. I was so, oh my gosh, excited. Grey's is just whew, that's a good one. It's shameful, I know. My husband is like, what are you watching on Netflix now? So we watch more of like the teenage, young adult type shows. So we watch Netflix. One of the ones that just came out on Netflix, and forgive me because it just slipped my mind what it is, but it's based on like some New York high schoolers.
Is it Dash and Lily?
Oh no, we watched Dash and Lily too.
Because that was going to be my suggestion.
We did just finish Dash and Lily. I didn't think she was going to watch that one with me because I love, y'all, Hallmark Lifetime holiday movies. That's my jam. So when I was watching Dash and Lily, we were sitting outside. Izzy had soccer practice, and I was like, hey, you want to watch this little snippet with me, see if you like it? She watched the first episode, and she was sold. So yes, we did. We watched Dash and Lily, and we finished it, and it's so nice. Now I have the book in my save list for both of us to kind of like read that and compare it with the show.
It was really cute. It's a fun little it's very teeny, very young adult, but it's a little holiday romp in New York City with these 2 kids. So speaking of the holiday season and getting into the mood, sometimes buying gifts for coworkers or people you don't really know can be a little odd. Do you guys have any recommendations on things to get for, the people you don't know really well, but you also want to be nice and give them something?
Yes. Blankets, 100%. Everybody always wants to be comfy. I don't care what anybody has to say about that.
That's a great go-to, and I've received blankets as gifts, and I'm always like grabbing for them whenever I'm like at home and watching TV or something, and I've got blankets like all across my living room that I've received as gifts, and so that's just such a great one. I'm a little persnickety when it comes to like candle scents and things like that, so I don't typically give candles just because scents are so personal. But I think a Starbucks gift card and chocolate always is a winner.
Yeah, those are good recommendations.
I love that. And to your blankets, like fuzzy socks, oh my gosh. Like at first you were like, man, somebody got me socks. But then when you put those on, it's just like comfort on your feet. I love fuzzy socks as a go-to gift. And then anytime like Old Navy or even Bath and Body Works has some kind of sale, I'm down for that, to give that as a gift as well.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I love the cozy socks that have like the aloe vera like infused in them. I don't know if that's true or not, but it feels like it's like a mental thing, and I'm like, these are great. I love giving Audible gift cards, so that's another one that's like, a little, it doesn't have to be super personal, like giving a book, but you can be like, here you go, here's a gift card that you can pick what you want. What's the best gift y'all have ever received?
So I really love to draw in my spare time. So probably, and this is gonna sound so cheesy, I got a pack of paper, and it's still like, I got it when I was 5. So keep this in mind. I'm a child, but that was still by far the best gift I have ever received in my life. Like that excitement, I don't think I've ever felt it getting anything else than a pack of computer paper when I was 5 years old.
Oh, that's so meaningful. It's sweet. Yeah. What about you, Jennifer?
Well, one year for Christmas, I was over at my boyfriend's family's house, and this was my first Christmas with them, and they all draw names because they're such a large family. And his sister puts this giant box in front of me, and I'm thinking, what in the world could this be? And so I open it, and it's an Instant Pot, or an Instapot, and I didn't realize how much I wanted one until that moment, whenever I was just like, oh my gosh, I got an Instant Pot. And so now it's one of my very favorite things. I love to cook, and every time we find a recipe to do in the Instant Pot, it's like a little bit of a science experiment, because I'm not quite convinced that it isn't going to explode. and there's like a certain order that you do things in. So that was probably my favorite gift that I've gotten.
Yeah, that's awesome. I used my Instant Pot once and burned it so bad that I just haven't gone back.
It's like a chemistry experiment. You never know what's going to happen.
Yes, I love Instant Pots, anything that can make life easier. Crock Pot Mom, all of those. So definitely, mine is funny. I was obsessed with like the Italian Job, so like big on big on Mini Coopers. Yeah. So it was the Christmas, Robert's and my first Christmas together, and that's what he got me, was like a Mini Cooper. Y'all, I was so not the real one, a little toy.
You had the car with like the big bow moment.
No. Keep in mind, we were still college students, following the budget. But it was the little mini one, and I was so excited of like getting the Mini Cooper that I did not realize that it was a little box. And that box, of course, was my engagement ring, which is now part of my wedding band. So he asked me to marry him. It was the day after Christmas, because of course we spent Christmas like with our families, but he put my ring box in the Mini Cooper. Y'all, it was so funny because I realized I ran out, came back, and was like, yes. And you know, but it was just like the whole shock of it. So, and I still have that Mini Cooper to this day in the box, because I'm like, the girls will see it and be like, what's this? And, you know, we would retell them like the story as they got older of like how we got married. Well, he proposed, and they're like, well, can we play with it? No, this is Mama's Mini Cooper. And right now I drive an SUV because of course I'm a sports mom. Oldest plays basketball, youngest plays soccer. But I let them know, as soon as you all can drive yourselves, Mommy is getting her for real Mini Cooper.
That's such a cute story. Aw. So the holiday season is usually when we get together with our families and our friends. There's a lot of parties, and this year, obviously, that's hard and it's a little different. And so what are y'all doing to stay authentically connected to your friends and family and even just like coworkers during this season?
I have been FaceTiming like crazy. And even my friends, so Apple released this year where you can FaceTime multiple people at once. So my family like gets together on FaceTime parties, and we just have so many laughs and such a good time. And like even my friends will have like a mini night where we'll like watch the same show together, or like we'll have like an art party where each of us will be painting something and kind of like painting with a twist. So definitely staying connected and just checking in so often, making sure that everybody's okay, and of course asking everybody to put on their cameras just because it's so nice to see everybody's face.
Mm-hmm. Initially I feel like my team stayed away from doing cameras, and then I was like, I need to see people's faces. And so it is really nice to just like see each other's faces, even if you look like you just rolled out of bed. I'm like, I just want to see you. You're still beautiful to me.
With the top knot go to.
Yeah. I'm like, don't mind the dirtiness in the background. What about you, Jennifer?
Yeah, we, using FaceTime a lot, where we can. My mother is high risk, and so it's been really tough not being able to see her, as often this year. But, we have definitely like gone to sit on her porch, and we'll sit, socially distance and bring lunch, and, really just make sure we're spreading apart, or she'll even be inside and I'll be outside kind of through the window, you've been seeing on the news. With friends, we'll go and we'll find a place where we can go sit outside, and we'll just bring camp chairs and snacks and just kind of spread out. Virtual coffee. In fact, I just had a FaceTime coffee yesterday with one of my dear friends and talked for an hour and met her new puppy and all of that just, via the screen. So I'm thankful that we have the technology that we do now to kind of get through this, but definitely anxious and ready for a time when we can just kind of all be together. It's interesting because I watch shows now and I'm like, where's their mask? Well, or it was, filmed like whenever ago, and or it's historical or whatever. But it's just so interesting how it has just like permeated everything, so definitely anxious for things to get back to normal.
For me, I'm not iPhone, I'm Team Samsung. So my mom, sister, and little brother, we typically, it's how I kind of disconnect from my work day, since I am still working and remote at home, but we get on like the Facebook Messenger and do like our video calls from there. And it's fun too, because we're able to like sometimes fun it up like doing the face filters. And y'all, my Grams, she is in her 80s, but you can't tell her any different. But sometimes she's at my mom's to, just hang out with her, and she'll get on like the face, and she's like, and she'll call me by my nickname, which I will not share with y'all, but she's the only one that can call me that. And it's just cool because, we miss having that connection since they are so far away. But now that, we are in these times, we've been able to like adapt to that technology. For my friends, a lot of times, we just check in via text like every day, just kind of figure out like what's life going on, sending encouraging words, because again, like we're all working, we're all like dealing with this pandemic in our own ways. With my sorority, that's been like one of my saving graces. So I'm a member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, hence my little poodle pen. We do things still as far as being engaged with the community. So we've been able to like still make that type of impact by sending like virtual cards like St. Jude's children. We even did like a paint and sip party for our Founders Day where we had a cute little poodle that we painted, and it was just cool to be able to like engage in that way, because we kind of missed that, being able to like serve together, have our sisterhood socials together, but just being able to like interact that way has been great.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like we're so fortunate to have the technology we have during this time. And like this weekend, my sister lives in California, and so she had my nephew a couple months ago. And so this weekend, my whole family, I got us all together on a Zoom call so we could meet my little nephew Ethan. And I'm like, I don't know that we would have thought to do that before like this pandemic season. And so I'm grateful for that. But during this time, it's been really hard. There's just been a lot going on this year, everything, and it just is like a lot of negativity. And so I'm just wondering if there's anything y'all are doing to actively try to stay positive and energize yourself. I know it seems kind of silly, but I bought a gratitude journal on Amazon. And so every morning I have a habit that I've put in place now that when I first wake up, I sit down and I write down the 3 things I'm thankful for that day. And it really does. It has changed my attitude a little bit, and I noticed that. So is there anything y'all are doing to try to help stay positive?
As far as personally and professionally, I am celebrating every single thing I can. If I have a good customer phone call, if I had a really great meeting with my team, if my team has something, like even if they won an extra $25 on a load, I am like, okay, Grey's Anatomy style, let's dance it out, let's celebrate, let's have a great time. One of my employees loves Careless Whisper by George Michael, and so we put that on and danced it out to the George Michael. But yeah, just really making an effort to be intentional about saying, wow, what a great job, what a great call. And not just like, professionally with my team and like my internal people, but my customers too. I'm like, hey, wow, fantastic. Thank you so much for your help. This is great. Best day ever. They're just like, wow, we're really glad you appreciate us. Like, this is fantastic. We need this in our workday. So just kind of celebrating as much as I can, being intentional about it, and kind of, I don't want to say forcing other people to celebrate with me, but kinda.
I love that. For me, just trying to stay positive has really been grounded in trying to move my body as much as I can. I didn't realize how much I moved around just kind of being in the office, walking to get water or use the restroom or whatever. I didn't realize how much I did that until I was just sitting at home, working from my home office. And so I had to be very intentional about getting outside and going for a walk, or getting fresh air and sunshine, or going for a bike ride, or just doing those things that would kind of burn off a little bit of that anxious energy. Because if I don't, for me, that is a fast track to, negativity. And so that's definitely been something. But I've also really had to learn to give myself a lot of patience and grace, that we are kind of living in very, very unprecedented times. And even when we aren't doing anything, we are kind of bombarded with just kind of the seriousness of everything all of the time. And that really does take a toll on us. And so learning how to like give myself some patience, and like, it's okay if you don't have a lot of extra energy for X, Y, or Z. It's like you can go for a walk or whatever, but just give yourself some grace. That's been one of my biggest things that I have struggled with, gotten better at, all at the same time.
Why is empathy and connection in the workplace so important? I know we've talked about it some in like the Dare to Lead discussions, but for those who weren't in there, what are y'all's thoughts on that?
You can get so burned out in a job and feel like everything is just focused on your results and the tasks that you're given. And just remembering that we're people, one, it can make it so much more enjoyable. so much more rewarding to understand that, my feelings are being taken into consideration. And also, like, my leader or my teammate is going out of their way to make sure that I feel heard. I just think as I've grown in my career at JB Hunt and can kind of watch the leaders and how my teams have interacted, that is something that has stood out to me the most. And for me personally, that has made me feel just so fulfilled in everything I do. So just overall making sure that, people are remembering that we're all people. We all have feelings, and those feelings are very much important and valued.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that there's kind of this outmoded, philosophy about being a professional that you have to leave, your home life outside and then only you have your work self. And I think that early on in my career, I definitely, kind of ascribed to that. And so I was just like super focused on being very buttoned up all the time and like hyper professional. And then I would run into people, like everyone on my team just didn't think that I was fun at all because I didn't let any of my personality show. But as I have matured in my career and as I have read more and learned more about myself and about empathy and connection, I've really integrated myself, whether that's my home life and my work life together, to where I do bring my whole self to work. I think it's impossible for anyone to separate what's happening at home whenever you come into the office. And I think that if we really approach everything from an empathetic and compassionate point of view, it allows everyone else to bring their whole selves to work. We definitely need to create a space that's safe for people to do that. And I think that we become better teams. Kind of to your point, we're able to help support each other and, we can help shoulder the weight when someone's not having a great day, So I think that they're absolutely, absolutely critical.
Yes, I agree with both of you ladies. Empathy is definitely important, especially in the workplace, because when you think about it, people, and it's a quote, will always remember how you made them feel. And especially like we come to work and we know it's a corporate environment, but at the same time, like just from personal experiences of some of the life things that I have in my 13 years here have experienced, like the loss of my father that raised me, like I got that news while I was at work. And just like the overwhelming support of like my management and my team members to just kind of like be there for me. Like I can't remember it like step by step because again, you're getting that call, but just knowing that they were like the ones that were able to take me out to the car when Robert was waiting for me and just being that encouragement and like reaching out. And Izzy, our soon-to-be 10-year-old, she had a non-fatal drowning experience a couple of years ago. And it was just that management. If your family is important, that's what you focus on right now. And they were able to like be there and support and just like let me be a mom. Let me like be at children's, not worried about like what's going on with the team, just having that, just being there as a person. And like knowing that life is going to happen and how people help you cope and support you in that is like so important. So that's like one of the things that I feel is just so speaks to like our culture here at JB Hunt. It's like, yes, we're coming to work. Yes, we at the end of the day have a job to do, but we're more so a family. So we're more so making sure that we're connecting and we're building and developing each other together.
Yes. And you never know what is happening at home. You just never know what someone is going through. Similarly to you, Javannah, I got the call that my husband was sick whenever I was at work, and whenever he passed away, my work family, whenever I worked in intermodal pricing, they gave me so much space to do and to be exactly what I needed to be at that time. I worked for Matt Wynn at the time, and he was exactly the leader that I needed at exactly that time, because he allowed me to come into work and just be at work and let it be a place where I didn't have to think about anything else. But it wasn't also that I was, there were no additional like demands put on me, right? I was able to go at the speed that I wanted and just, so I will forever be thankful to him and to Stacy Griffin and to that whole group that really kind of gave me that space to be where I needed to be. And that's where I think too that we can draw upon our experiences to help be empathetic to other people. Whereas, you may not have the exact same situation, but you can have a lot of the same feelings. And if I can show some space and some respect for the feelings that you may be having, then that's going to make that connection even tighter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I am very, very grateful for my management. They're so empathetic. A few years ago, I was in a pretty intense car accident, and I walked away physically fine, but emotionally I was a mess. And I just had a pretty bad concussion. And so on the outside, I looked fine, so I was coming to work and I was trying, but inside I was just a hot mess. And my managers were so kind to me for months after, and they were just there and just really supportive. And I'll like you said, it's the way you're treated is what you remember, and I'll never forget that. It's great. Something that JB Hunt has been big about this year is inclusion and diversity in these topics. What are y'all's thoughts on how we can be better about inclusion and bringing, diversity to the table?
Something that has been said to me often is we want you to create mini yous. And we want you to, you should be pouring into your people and creating mini versions of Kira. And for me, as I've watched my team grow, as I've watched employees come through customer experience specifically, I don't want to create mini me's. I want to create their own I want their personalities to come through in their own styles, and I want to, celebrate their strengths and make sure that everybody understands that just because something is different doesn't mean it's wrong. So I've been very, and I keep saying this word a lot, but very intentional about making sure my team understands that and everybody I work with understands that as well. So we have been very vulnerable as a group and understanding, hey, educate me on why you're thinking this way and tell me more. I want to better understand. So just being very open to that and having those conversations and really accepting and working with my employees, my teammates, my peers, has really helped our team. And honestly, having that attitude has just grown us as a stronger team. And so very, very thankful that we've kind of started moving in that direction.
That's incredible. Awesome. What are your thoughts, Jennifer?
So inclusion to me is something that is so important, and I think that the kind of the word that has emerged in 2020 that I just absolutely love is intersectionality, and I think about how GROW was our first employee resource group that was founded 6 years ago, and since then we have LEAD, and we have VERG, and we have Emerge, and now we have Plus, and we think about all of the different yous, as you were talking about, the mini yous, all of the different versions of ourselves or the different identities that we wear. I'm Jennifer. I identify as female. I'm white. I'm all of these things. Not one of those is better than anything else, but the fact that we have an intersection of lots of different things about us. Those are all things that can be celebrated, and different ways that we can connect to learn from each other. And so I am just so excited to see all the different strides that we've made at JB Hunt, over the years. I had the privilege to watch one of the early Plus sessions where I was even talking about vocabulary, and I learned so much in that. And I think the more that we can do to create awareness and just be intentional about learning about each other and celebrating the things that make us different, will help us to understand that we are all so much more similar than we are different.
And I think with the company, if I'm not mistaken, the slogan is individually unique, together complete. I may be misquoting that, Amy Baines, please forgive me if I did. But like, that's something that has like really stuck with me, that the company is taking that stance, especially in the realm of diversity and inclusion and equity. Being that I am a woman, I am an African American woman, like things are different in all transparency of like how I'm often seen, how I'm often interacted with. And as a woman, we've had like so many just wonderful women leaders that have like said, pull up your seat to the table. You don't have to wait to be invited. Sit in the middle. That way, whenever you're engaging, you're like at the middle and you're engaging among the people at the table. And I love that because we have so many that will champion you, that will sit there and like be like a sponsor without you even asking on, okay, what are your goal sets? What do you want to be as far as like in the company? So I've enjoyed that. And then just on the way that the world has been here lately, especially with the social injustice, everything that has happened with that, my gosh, just the ability to be able to talk about it. Like a lot of times we can sit there and things can impact us in a way that, you know, I call it just like that silent suffering, because things that have been brought to the forefront now are things that have not really been new to like the African American culture at all. This is just something that I hate to say, you know, I don't want to say we get used to it, but it's just things that are apparent. But now that we have been able to step into knowing that we have allies in our work family, with our friends that, you know, are in this with us, that really helps. And just knowing that the company was able to like stand up and like be vocal about their support in this and the engagement that our leaders have been having on making sure that everyone's voice is being heard. So just not just with like Emerge, but you have Plush, you have Lead, you have Grow, you have Verg, just as Jennifer mentioned before, just being able to have a company that wants to invest in us for like who we are and help us like realize we are all, again, uniquely different, but together, bigger together, better together. How's John Roberts say it? Please don't. I need my job. But you know how John Roberts says it. I just really, I love it.
I think it's like bigger, better, stronger together.
Together. There you go. Nailed it.
And that's what I think is really cool about all of these different ERGs kind of being created, is that we don't have to have always been right, but the fact that we can learn from each other's experiences, we can get it right. You know, every day can be better. We can build upon what we learned the day before. You know, I think too, and I love how you said, Javannah, about, you know, naming that it is, you know, social injustice, and the fact that we're actually having conversations this year and naming it for what it is, and not just talking about everything that's going on. Like, no, we're not going to sugarcoat it. Like, let's name it for what it is, and let's be realistic that, you know, large populations, large areas of our employee population are impacted by this. And so I'm just so glad that we're just having open and honest conversations about it, because then it goes back to bringing your whole self to work. You know, you can't do that if we're not naming what's actually impacting all of our employees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's so great. Awesome. So, to finish it up, what are y'all's personal or work goals for 2021?
I would say definitely throughout 2020, our favorite word as a company, and I'm sure pretty much everybody is just saying fluid. However, staying fluid has really caused me to put a lot of things on the back burner. So I would take something up because I'm like, I'm staying fluid. This is great. I can take on more. I can handle this right now, and everything else can be later. So like things like, you know, employee development, and I'm developing them through different ways, but the things that are really important, or even the small things like, you know, reading that extra book a week, going through and taking that time for myself. So having a lot more discipline and following through with that would definitely be one of my goals, at least.
I would say for 2021, I am still going to be pretty new into my new role. And every time that I've transitioned roles, I've tried to learn, kind of apply what I've learned in the past and approach each new transition a little bit differently. And so for transitioning into this new role and then into the new year, trying to be a little bit more mindful about how I wrap up a week and then plan for the next week. And so that whenever I do, kind of leave for the weekend, that I can really focus on recharging my battery and kind of giving all of my attention to my family. And then that way, whenever I come back, refreshed and ready to tackle, that next week's duties. And so I would just say a lot of really intentional time management and focus on really setting clear priorities for each week.
One thing that 2020 has definitely shifted for me, because I used to have this perfectionist mentality and wanting to be everything to everybody all the time. No, we're not going to do that going into 2021. So one thing that I have intentional is my word. So don't I know I use it a lot, girl, keep using it, because it helps people like me remember that I'm going to be very intentional in 2021 with what I give my time to and honoring my no. Like, there's a book that's The Best Yes. I used to say that all the time, that's not my best yes right now. But no, really, I'm just going to be intentional on 2021 being my year of no. If it's something that, is not going to move anything forward, be a positive for other people, that's going to be something that's going to drain on my life force, no. And just be okay with it. Not going to be guilty about it. No.
That's wonderful. I love that. I need to be better about that too. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. I had so much fun. It was so nice to just get to sit down and talk. And I hope y'all also enjoyed this. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see y'all in 2021.